Hi, so we're really lucky today to have Ben from CBD Brothers with us. We've used CBD Brothers for a long time and recommended our patients there because it's been fantastic quality CBD products that we found. I think they're the longest standing UK supplier of CBD. So hello, Ben. Hi.
Hello, how's it going? All right.
Yeah, very good, thank you. So
good.
CBD
That's a
is
lovely intro. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
CBD is kind of like a very kind of fashionable kind of thing that you ever hear everyone kind of talking about and wondering if they should take it without realizing it's actually been around for quite a long time. But also there's quite a lot of different things you can take it for and reasons you could take it. So we thought we'd bring you on and basically just go through the kind of starts of it. So really kind of like, how would you start? What kind of is CBD? Go for basics.
Well, do you want me to answer that question, or how are we doing these questions and answers? Right. Well, CBD is obviously a compound or molecule that's found in cannabis, cannabinoids. One of a number of different cannabinoids that are found in quite a few different plants. Cannabis seems to be one of the most prolific forms of, and has the best interaction with each of the different cannabinoids. So, yeah, mainly found in the flowers, but it's found in the sticks and the stems on poor, not as high quality. A majority of the stuff that is imported and used is coming from industrial hemp, and that's down to the prohibition and the legislation around the production of hemp and cannabis across Europe. And yeah, the two most famous cannabinoids are obviously CBD and the THC, which is, for those that don't know, the psychoactive one, which gets people high.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it also has a huge amount of healing properties, but the fact that it gets people high has been one of the main reasons why it's been blocked from more research and access, and one of the reasons why it's still that and CBN. So, yeah.
Great. How old is cannabis? How long has it been around as a plant?
I don't think we actually know. I think they've discovered hemp seeds in. They found an early settlement in Taiwan. Or what was Taiwan back in the day. They found it in Nefertiti's, not Nefertiti's, in the Egyptian tombs. In Israel, they've uncovered sites with where they've used frankincense and things like that. So we don't really know. I read something the other day, and it's coming from Asia, that sort of area. But
it's in Chinese herb. It's in Chinese herb use. I've seen it a lot in the Chinese. When you read through, it's used as a Chinese herb historically, long term.
I think one of the first places actually recorded being mentioned is the Chinese Book of Herbs. So yeah, that's one of the first places.
Quite a strong herb, by there.
We've had it in the UK for quite a long time. Not necessarily as a medicinal. I mean, the Anglo-Saxons used to use it as a form of pain relief, and the Henry VIII used to ask people to grow it as a form of for rigging, for roping. So in one way, shape, form, or another, whether it be textiles and industry or medicinal use, it's sort of come alongside human evolution, which is wonderful. Which is why I think it works so great in synchronicity with us. So
I suppose in the UK, really, CBD would be the most legal way of using part of cannabis without crossing that legal barrier, but also getting some of the medicinal properties. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way of really consuming any cannabinoid or anything from the cannabis family in the UK without staying on the right or wrong side of the law, however you want to put it. There is, CBD is, and that's kind of the reason why we had some in the days with the industry. Are you still there?
Yes, we just lost you for a second on the internet. Sorry, Ben.
That's okay, cool. As long as I'm back and you're back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's what were we saying?
We were asking about the legality of legality, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's the closest we're going to get at this point in time outside of the medicinal cannabis prescription on the private clinics. I mean,
so it's legal for everybody to use CBD products. They will be able to buy those and use those.
I mean, the degree and quality is varying dramatically. But yeah, you can. I've seen it for sale in garages and petrol stations, which is a bit. So, but yeah, you get like the CBD shots and things like that, which I would highly recommend you don't go anywhere near. But it just shows how common and prolific it's been. From our point of view, when we started, we were, like to say, the only guys really sort of doing it. Certainly the only guys selling our particular variation of it, the indica. And it was a bit nerve-wracking in the beginning because we didn't know how the Home Office would react. So we spoke to them and no one really knew much about it. It's only been about the last 5 years that it's really gained traction and attention. And like every other fad product that sort of comes along, because of the popularity of it, and because of, I suppose, a bit of element of the danger attached to it with the cannabis side of things, it kind of blew up quite a lot. Obviously, the health benefits are well documented and proven anecdotally, obviously.
Well, the World Health Organization is talking about the evidence now, aren't they? They're talking about there being limited evidence and good evidence for pain, for depression, for anxiety, for sleep.
I mean, from a personal treatment point of view with my anxiety, it was fantastic. It was really, really useful. It helped get me through some really kind of what would otherwise be situations where I would be crumbling. And friends and family have used it along those times. Pain as well is brilliant from personal experience. But yeah, no, it's becoming more accepted, and part of the reason it's becoming more accepted is part of the CBD revolution. You know, people getting to use it. It's a shame it's been swamped, but these happen, and sometimes it's good. You have to have these things happen every now and then just to get a little bit more understanding of it.
What is the difference in, kind of like you said before, there are different qualities and different types? I mean, it must be regulated in some way as to where.
Yeah, well, this is part of the issue to start with. There was not a lot of really great regulation around it, and it was very much. I mean, we used to get, when we were importing, we used to have regular stops by Border Force, and they'd go through it, check it, and test it, and either send it to us or keep it. In fact, I don't think we actually only ever got a shipment lost once in Guernsey, and that was when they raided our shop after we first opened it. Which was quite ironic because they're the only place in the British Isles, really, apart from Guernsey, Jersey, that allowed THC in the products. But there was a lack of understanding on a government level there from how we got it in and what we were doing to get it in, which caused the confusion. So yeah, but yeah, the quality is comes. It's like anything else. When you get something that's mass produced, you're naturally going to lose the quality of it. And I'm not being disrespectful to the suppliers, but a lot of the stuff that's available on the market is produced from huge European farms that are coming in, and they're using stems and sticks, and a lot of that is down to the legislation around processing the actual flowers. For instance, you won't get a license to process the flowers in the UK if you farm cannabis or hemp. You have to dispose of the flowers, and you're not allowed to use them in any way, shape, or form. And that is where the most prolific and the best cannabinoids and terpenes, these are the other good things about cannabis extract, the terpenes, this is where they go. But we're very behind on the legislation with this. And unfortunately, it's like that across the way in the European Union as well. The European Hemp Association are doing some really good work to try and educate the government bodies on this. But unfortunately, the best bits, we literally have to leave, apart from in Guernsey, we have to leave to waste in the fields, which is a bloody shame.
That's upsetting, isn't it?
So there's different legislation in Guernsey?
Sorry?
There's different legislation in Guernsey?
Oh, yeah. We went to Guernsey and changed the legislation in Guernsey, and the Guernsey government have got the Guernsey government are quite a weird entity. They're a sovereign nation, so they get to make up their own rules and laws and things like that. And they're very conservative by nature. So we had a big task on our hands going to them and asking them to amend the legislation. But we helped. They sought out consultancies where we came in, and we discussed the benefits. Economically was one of the major driving factors for them. And they amended their misuse of drugs legislation in 2019 to allow up to 3% THC in products that are available over the counter, which for us was fantastic because it allowed us to push down our medicinal side a little bit more while still keeping in a fairly loose food supplement marketplace. It gave us an opportunity to sort of do some research and development without having to do the big, without the millions of pounds funding, and get a fairly good early idea on what sort of products with low THC would work. And also it was good because it gave the Home Office an idea of how low level THC introduction into a wide demographic population of Guernsey, which is very mixed in people, and it's 66,000 people there, so it's quite a good overview for it.
It's a good trial, isn't it?
And yeah, it is, and it was, and we had a mixture of disabilities, conditions, ages, races, everything coming in was, and so we were able to put some really good comprehensive stuff together to demonstrate that an introduction of THC into the food chain through a supplement market wouldn't cause everyone to climb to the top of a roof and jump off, or one of the equivalent drug stories that we're told from a very early age that if you do it was that. So,
and have you seen positive results from doing that? Have you seen positive results?
Very positive, yeah, really positive. They Guernsey, I'm very proud of the work we've done over there and how they've taken to it. They've done an awful lot of research themselves. The government have. They haven't gone in this lightly, and what they've created is a very friendly medicinal cannabis marketplace where you can. I think that the recent studies have said 10% of people 18 and over are now accessing medicinal cannabis for a variety of conditions, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, these are the opiate rates are dropping off, so the addiction rates to opiates, the deaths from opiates.
I mean, that's the argument. Opiates are much more dangerous. I mean, if you look at the two, and you said for pain, what would you know, the huge problem we've got with opiate dependency and with the huge range of side effects that it causes, comparatively to cannabis in full medicinal form, you know, it's not even close.
Even if you take on all the which we do a lot of, include all the psychological issues like the schizophrenia and that, which is very, very low, but still there because you are using a psychoactive substance, which will alter your state of consciousness. Being stoned is not a regular state of mind. So, and when you're using medicinal cannabis, does create psychoactive effect.
Seem to have lost Ben at the moment.
He'll come back in a second. He was just going through essentially all the differences in opiates, and we see that in our clinics all the time, especially mine, because I'm predominantly pain-based in what I see. It's amazing how many patients come in and they're taking, you know, opiates, been taking them for a very, very long time, and actually we really struggle in some ways to kind of get them off of those opiates, because they have to go through a lot of the withdrawal. We have to gradually bring them down. It's not a simple kind of change as to one's legal, one's not legal, and one's safe. That really doesn't work that way.
No.
And also you climb a pain ladder, don't you?
And I think to some extent, I think if you look at how well CBD can work, I've definitely seen in my patients that, you know, with the huge influx of CBD products, that I try and send them towards CBD Brothers because I found them very good in my experience. But, you know, I've got patients ranging from severe pain to insomnia to anxiety to cancer patients, which is controversial, but in support for their treatment, we've seen benefit. I think we're going to try bringing. Are you back? Yes. Are you back, Ben? Yes.
Yes, for now. I've switched internet yet again. So hopefully this is just mine now. So if any kids latch onto it, I'll kick them off. So I have complete control over this one.
So we were just talking about the difference between opiates and cannabis itself.
Yeah.
And the risk and benefits of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even if we factor in all the psychological reports and conditions that can come from use of cannabis, it doesn't touch the sides when you're looking at the opiate addiction. I mean, we've got an epidemic in America where generations are being lost to these drugs, which it's a terrible state of affairs. It really is bad, and
it's a huge widespread problem. It costs, you know, millions to billions, maybe even, and it's a huge cause of death, and it's terrifying.
But they've seen a change in California, haven't they? Because California really kind of set the standard, really, didn't they? They've tried to change it around and bring cannabis in, and they're seeing a decrease now in their opiate addiction.
Yeah, I mean, it's well documented across the board. I mean, the benefits of having a regulated cannabis market of all recreational and medicinal is just out. It's not right that we haven't got that still, bearing in mind how everything is and the amount of evidence we've got. Colorado decriminalized and legalized it nearly 10 years ago now, and they've seen nothing but benefits. You're always going to get the odd thing happen. It's a natural. It's the way it goes. But
it should be available for prescription. It definitely should be available for prescription. You know, you look at it and you go, there's a lot of conditions that I think it should be. And, you know, there's arguments for things like epilepsy. There's arguments for severe pain. There's arguments.
Well, even if they started with the terminal cancer, I mean, the pain at the end, I mean, you know,
there are small studies showing benefit.
The thing cannabis is most often prescribed for in the UK, which you can get it on prescription through private clinics. Okay, so that's what we have, a private clinic in Guernsey, and we're able to prescribe it in there. Is pain. But the work we've done in the early days with epilepsy and children with epilepsy specifically, we saw some fantastic results. Like when you see like the Hannah Deacons and the Indie Roses online, you know, with Little Alfie and that, we started off working with them guys in the early days. They came to us first, and we gave them extracts and oils to help them, because
Yeah, there been some great documentaries showing that on. There's been some great documentaries even on TV, and I think that benefit is definitely. I mean, when you look at the side effects, the medications that you have, you know, alongside those, it's weighing up that risk and benefit. I think for a lot of medical conditions, it would be a very valid thing to be prescribed widespread if they could change things.
Yeah, definitely needs to be, and that's kind of what we've been doing. We started off in a very grey area. We moved it into a slightly lighter area. And now we're working with governments and bits and pieces from Uganda to Guernsey. So we've been over to the Isle of Man, all over the place. Even the Home Office over here we have to speak to, and I'm not a big fan of them lot. So, but you know, we have to get we talk to these people because they have to be educated and understand it. You know, we had a Home Office inspection in our greenhouse, and so you have to deal with this. So.
It's all about the education, though, isn't it? Because I mean, we found it even when we opened our new clinic recently, and you know, we just put CBD drinks out, which I know just for
maybe not
just for a difference. But we wanted to see, you know, what would happen if we just, you know, pushed the boat a little bit. And it's amazing how few people, you know, thought that, you know, CBD was actually legal.
Yeah, most people don't.
Everyone says like we were handing out drugs, and we're like, no, CBD's been around for a very long time,
and I use
lots of benefits.
And my patients, for example, I've suggested a lot of them try CBD sometimes when they're trying to come off alcohol, because a lot of people have medicate themselves with alcohol. And I think CBD can often make people feel relaxed in a similar way. And actually, I find it brilliant when I'm looking at people's alcohol levels and going, this is quite high. Have you considered that you could try CBD instead in the evening to relax and try something that isn't, you know, as harmful?
And you can put in your own favorite drink, or your own favorite drink that's non-alcoholic. And you can even add a drop of, you know, CBD Brothers CBD oil to it. You've got a lovely CBD drink, and you're coming off the alcohol. It's great.
Well, we've actually, which is I mean, part of our helping to educate and understand and accept cannabis is we actually do a rum, which is not medicinal in any way, shape or form. So I'm not promoting this as a medicine, but we use the terpenes from the cannabis plants and we put it into a rum. And I mean, rum historically used to be medicinal in the Navy and ships like that, but it's literally just as a fashionable drink. We're not trying to pass it off as a medicine because it isn't.
That's right.
But it is. But it just helps get that the C word, the cannabis word, out there on the bottle, and then people see it and normalise it a little bit more. I mean, it doesn't get people high, but it's the flavours and the taste around cannabis, which again, it's quite unique, and it's
it
is
a
really
unique
good,
taste,
so.
you know it, And I think if we asked about the CBD products that you have on CBD Brothers, I think you've got quite a lot of different products and a lot of different strengths. One of the questions that someone asked us was where they might want to start. And obviously we're not asking you to medicinally recommend this for any complaint, but you know, how would you start? Would you start at very low doses in small strengths?
Always low and slow. Low and slow is always the best way to go forward. We do samples which are available, which are really important, and we will. If someone rings up, we will generally try and point them in the right direction, because we don't want to encourage people to spend their money. 9 times out of 10, we'll give you a sample for nothing, because that's not our foundation of the company is built on that. You know, cannabis is a plant that we don't have any right to have any control over, so it should be available freely to everyone, as all healthcare and medicine should be up to a point. You know, but with things like cannabis, it's because there is so much lack of understanding around it, and because people are so unsure about it, we've always found that to encourage people to use it is to, it sounds like the old drug dealers actually give the first one away free and then they'll be back for more. Every time I think about that, I think I've got to try and find another analogy or way.
Another way to put good drugs and the good herbs. Don't worry.
No, try and see like a supplement. See if it works for you. If it works for you, keep taking it.
That's it.
On most packets of things. Try it once and it'll react with you.
But so we often recommend people. I mean, my favorite extracts are the indica. That's why we do an indica. We're the only company that has a true indica. And we know we are the only company because we're the only company that are licensed to grow it through the Home Office and through the Guernsey government. So no one else is allowed to do that.
So indica's a different strain. You've got sativa? Yeah?
Sativa.
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Sativa, and then you've got ruderalis or a hybrid, which is a mixture of the both. Sativas are generally uplifting and cheerful. You hear musicians often talk about the sativas and things like that as giving them the inspiration. And the indicas tend to be a lot more sort of mellow out, chilled out, sort of. And fundamentally, the cannabinoids are cannabinoids. So CBD is CBD, whether you get it from echinacea, cannabis, or any of the other broccoli sources of it. But there's some bits. That's my stuff.
We're just putting up some of your different range there.
But it's the terpenes in it that give it this extra like that you can identify between the various strains. Now, unfortunately, due to the way that industrial hemp has been industrialized. Is that a word? Industrialized? Yeah.
Industrialized.
And yeah, because it's growing en masse, the quality of the cannabinoids are lower and the terpenes ultimately are lower. So if you walk through our greenhouse in Guernsey when we're growing all indica, you'll get hit instantly with the smell, and it's a lot different. If you walk through a field of hemp that you see growing on the edge of the road, it's got that there, but it's missing the essence, the real nice core part of it, which gives it that little twang, the lonium, the BKX, and all of these other terpenes that really do offer the entourage supportive effect of it. But for me, I would always recommend, especially for pain and things like that, go for an indica. They seem to help and work the best. Right. And when we get when we go for our medicinal license, we've got some strains that are indicas, or when we've got when we've submitted them from the Home Office, that we've developed these strains, some old landrace strains that are pure indicas, and we've named them after friends of ours who aren't with us anymore for various reasons, or for who helped in the industry get us where we are. So it's good.
You can see on your little promotional video that's on your website, it's really great. It shows you how much you love you look at everything, including the soil quality, and that makes this, I think
it's like
processing.
You get out what you put in, and yes. we're putting this, we're literally giving this stuff to kids to help make them better. Well, you got to have, everything has got to be absolutely tested, perfect, spot on. Soil's got to be right, water's got to be right, food's got to be right. I mean, we're coming up against it when we get into a more medicinal world, because it's a lot more clinical and it's a lot more difficult. And when we're talking about GMP standards, you have to make sure that every part of what you're putting in the plant can be traced all the way back. So when we're putting organic fertilizers in, we've got to make sure every molecule that's in that fertilizer is traceable all the way back. Sometimes that's really difficult to do, and it's just not, the system is not designed to have this sort of stuff going on. So we're battling really hard and finding our way through it. But the videos, forgot about that. That's
it's a great one
on there as well somewhere.
And I think also shows you the testing that you go through. That you go through a lot of testing afterwards independently to check the compounds in your CBD as well.
We have to make sure, because that's what makes it the best. And not being funny, but we can validate and standardize our processes all the way through. And because we do that, because it's, my daughter takes it. I take it. I'm not going to give something to my little daughter who I've got absolute 100% faith in what it is. We also test other people's stuff, and we know that a lot of the stuff on the market, not so much anymore, but a lot of the stuff used to be very touch and go. Very, very touch and go. So
it kind of makes sense, really. I mean, if you're going to put something inside your body, you really want to make sure you know where it's come from, how it's tested, especially when you're trying to change something that's big. If you're trying to affect something like epilepsy, you want to make sure the quality's great. Then the
pesticides
effects.
and other things aren't in there. That you're not purifying something that you don't want to be.
One of the biggest issues they had in the Canadian marketplace when Canada were one of the first G7 nations, I believe, that were allowed the recreational use of cannabis. One of the biggest issues they had was that people were making concentrates, or they were in such a rush to fulfill the market and the green rush, get all their money out. The people were using these horrendous pesticides and plant enhancers, these things that created these lovely, ideal looking dents, like your picture perfect buds you're supposed to see with, and all of this sort of stuff. But those get left in the plant. You can flush them, but you're never going to flush it all out completely. And then when people are making concentrates from these plants, that's exactly as you said, you're concentrating down the poison. So you end up with this little droplet of stuff, which is more than likely going to make you sick. And a lot of people were sick, and the cannabis industry in Canada, they suffered quite hard at the beginning with that. There was a lot of illness coming off the back of that. So
I've got a couple of questions, if that's all right, Ben. I've got one from a patient actually. So the patient basically is actually a patient of mine, but they're actually asking, they've got lower back pain and they can't take a lot of painkillers, and they're wondering, how they would take their CBD. So how would you recommend it? So is it something you take before bed or
lower
morning?
Back pain? I mean, if it depends. For a start, I'd start trying the topical balm if they could use that. We do a balm that's quite good. Balm was the first thing I ever made, actually, and I made it in my garage. I think I told you guys last time when we were talking. My postman used to love coming round because there'd be big pots of coconut oil and cannabis boiling in my garage, and they wondered for ages why the police hadn't been round. But yeah, it's good. But for that wasn't good. Sorry, I'm not encouraging that. But what you got to do is the balm is a really good way of applying topically for lower back pain. But for internally, I'd do an indica and under the tongue, but you've got to leave a gap between if you're taking painkillers like opiates and things like that to deal with it. So leave a couple of hours gap just as standard, but take it in at night, because a lot of people, sleep is incredibly important to us, and a lot of the time if we can regenerate and rejuvenate our bodies at night when we're asleep, then that often sends you in better stead for the day. So
it's when people struggle most with pain well at night, when there's no one around. It's when they struggle with pain most in most cases.
You could take that topical answer to most joints, couldn't you? Like knee pain or even ankle pain.
That's what I mean. I used to take it. Well, I used to make it for the ladies in my road, because they used to struggle with arthritis. So I used to cut their grass and things like that, and they'd be doing their roses, but their hands would be all gnarled up from arthritis. And my mum as well. It was So I made the balms because coconut oil was good, and then putting some vitamin E and bits and pieces in there as well, and then cooking up fresh cannabis plants and leaving them to steep for 5-6 days until I got just the right colour green, and I'd be able to send it out and they'd go away with it. So yeah, balm is definitely one of the ones to look at, and then and then an indica or something like that would be good.
Perfect, excellent. I've actually got a question about whether you can travel with CBD, because I've got a patient who is really loving CBD but wants to know if you can go on holiday and take it with you, or if that's dangerous, or if it would be a problem.
Yes. Trouble is because where are you going?
They want to go to Abu Dhabi, and I'm not sure that that's okay. Or you don't look at when maybe that's not a good idea.
No, I wouldn't go near any United Arab Emirate country with it, because they're very. There was a lad recently, the police found a vape cartridge on his floor, and he's in prison still. So no, unfortunately, no, they're not good on that. So yeah, we had a big thing with the Muslim Council. We were talking to them because we were involved in a debate whether CBD is considered haram because it's always your state of consciousness. But again, they're allowed to have it for certain. Muslims are allowed to have it for certain reasons, like opiates, effectively, they could take opiates. So that was our argument against that side of things. So many imams we were talking to, they were on our side and others were not. So yeah, that was quite an interesting discussion.
Can you travel in Europe? Can you travel anywhere in Europe with it? Can you travel in Europe with it? Would you be able to share it?
90% of the places you can. Yeah, I think, like I say, we generally speaking, as long as you know your oil's got no THC in it, then you're okay. So. But again, I'm not a fan of just isolated based products. I know we sell some isolated based products, but I'm not a fan of them because I don't think they have the same effect. I'm a whole plant. I'm a traditional guy, I'm a whole plant extract.
Actually, with herbs, we believe the same thing. Herbalists believe the same thing for our herbs. A lot of the time we like it a lot less when you take the extract out and feel it's less effective. I think the same thing. I feel about many of the herbs.
Well, I think to be safe, just go to Amsterdam. No problems at all. No one will stop you.
Or Guernsey. Go to Guernsey.
Or Guernsey. Well, then Guernsey is a good place to visit at the moment.
It's easy, isn't it?
Go to Guernsey. Yeah, if you go to Guernsey, it's 40 minutes on a plane, but go to Guernsey, let me know, and they'll give you a tour around the greenhouse and everything.
That's what we might do. We might take an Adio field trip. I think that might be an Adio field trip. That sounds great.
When the grow's in full scale, in about 3 months' time, I'll send you an invite over.
Fantastic. We'd love to go. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll make sure our videographer who's listening to this is going.
That's video. He says yes.
He's saying yes in the background. He's like, we love the mushroom foraging. He'll be like, yes, definitely. He's there for Guernsey.
Mushrooms again are another one, aren't they? They're fantastic. But yeah, let's do cannabis.
All these medicinal plants, I think it's fantastic. So I think
it was a really asked question, really, and that is: are there any side effects or dangers from CBD?
Is there anything you think?
You've got your standard. You've got your standard reactions that you can have from taking any sort of plant. I mean, nothing. I mean, you can get poisoned or anything from anything if you take enough of it. I would always start low and slow. You don't get stoned from good CBD. You shouldn't get stoned from it. So no, there's not really, but you're always going to have that. You've just got to be careful with everything you're taking, and obviously where you're getting it from as well.
Yeah.
The stuff from the garage, if you took that, it wouldn't surprise me if you got a little bit sick from that, because that is not going to be good quality CBD, and that's probably been extracted using some solvents or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like anything else. You go for your quality, and
you pay for that quality sometimes, and you have to.
And that's the problem. And I'm not. Yeah, I'm not gonna like everyone sort of goes, the Chinese CBD and stuff like that. They do some good stuff over there, but we've just seen, because of the rush of it. There's a lot. There went for a period of. I mean, the FSA, to be fair to them, they're really working their way up against it, and they're doing a good job at trying to negotiate their way through the minefield, because none of them know what they're doing. All of a sudden, they've been told to keep an eye out for cannabis, and they're like, well, that's the Home Office's job. And they're like, oh, no, but we put it in a food supplement. So now it's your job. And they're like, oh. And then the Home Office don't talk to the food FSA. So, yeah, just do your research or just come to us. You know, I'm not trying to advertise us, but you've got me here.
Well, we might suggest they come to you too, because we found you to be excellent. We found, and when I've ever sent patients, they've had really good advice. And I think you recommend a Facebook group. Do you mind mentioning that a little bit? You know,
Herbal Alternatives.
Yeah.
That
I know you've sent patients to that they can go.
Yeah, that's a really good group, and it's not technically affiliated with us as such because we're not allowed to do that. But we do know the people that run it, and Bev, my friend that runs that, she's been her boy Geordie was one of the was a kid that we were helping. He was on our compassion program. We have a compassion program where it's mainly based around children. We have about 200 kids that we don't pay for their extracts and oils and stuff like that because they need it to maintain a decent quality of life. And how can you charge someone or put a price on someone's quality of life? So, so he was one of the kids that was on this, and he went from being quite disabled into having quite a good career as a Paralympian archer, which was a complete turnaround. So his mum then went on and started, helped us and got these groups up and running completely independently and separate from us and that again. And but it is a useful tool and a useful resource.
Allows people to share their own experiences without I think, which is really helpful. And I know that advice is difficult when you haven't had a randomized double-blind controlled trial and you're not a drug company. But I think it's a really great thing that people can share their own experiences and their own knowledge that they have. And we definitely like community. So
yeah, that's the beautiful part of social media. It brings people together with common causes, and Herbal Alternatives is a wonderful group that makes that happen and creates, because you're talking about people who are predominantly there with their own experiences. So like me, I can talk about my own experiences with it when I'm using it to treat my anxiety and things like that, and my pain. So it's good to have that sort of level of support around you. And that's one of the things we used to do in the summer times. We used to have compassion parties where we used to get treat together. And we used to have it at the farm, and throughout that, it would give people a little network for them to create. That one of my children shouting, hang on. They used to create their own little network together so they could all go off and then be friends afterwards and help support each other. And then they had that crux going forward. Some of these people we've introduced have been friends for many years. And, you know, it's what it's all about, is supporting and maintaining our communities.
That was perfect. Exactly what it's about. Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you very, very much, Ben. We really appreciate you coming on, and we really appreciate talking about products. And we love CBD Brothers for its quality. It's fantastic.
We'll put all the links on Adio so you know where to go.
Yes.
And thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thanks. I know, like I said, in the summertime when things come along, I'll let you know, and you can come in and we'll get you over to Guernsey. All right?
Yes. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
How do I turn this?